And you've just heard Strange Paradise by the Strange Blue Dreams, which is taken from their new album, Simple Machine. And I'm so pleased to be joined by David Addison from the band now. Hello, David.
Hello, Alistair. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. So first of all, tell us about the new album, Simple Machine.
Well, it's about to come out on September the 3rd. Well, I think the actual album will be available as of this Friday, I believe, but we're doing the big launch party at St. Luke's on September the 30th. And it's a collection of new songs. Some of them might be familiar to long-term Strange Blue Dreams followers. We played, had a few of them live now. And they said, it was actually supposed to come out a wee while ago,
right?
But the unpleasantness put a stop to that. So, this is, we'd sort of just finished it, and we're all set to put it out, I think, towards the end of 2020, and then we thought, maybe it's not the best time to do that. So, it's been, I suppose, it's been a slightly strange experience for us, sort of to. When they put the wheels in motion to get it out again, it's sort of rediscovering these things. And there's something quite nice about it, because I suppose when you're making an album, your head's sort of so into each nook and cranny of it. It's a bit hard to have, and you put it out and hope for the best. But it's quite hard to have perspective. I think a lot of other musicians I've spoken to, that's quite a common experience. So with this just strange state of affairs, it's meant there's that wee bit of time and sort of perspective that, and I think we still seem to like it. So that's
yeah.
at least if we like it still, that's something.
That's interesting. So it really was all kind of set to go, and then you just kind of, for want of a better word, parked it and said, we'll wait for a better time to get it out.
Aye.
Were you able to kind of just leave it there then? Or were you kind of thinking about it, going,
I tried not to, because there had been a lot of thinking about it before that. At some point, you've got to say,
yeah,
the painting's finished.
Sure.
But there's been a little bit of tweakery since then, which is nothing major. Just thought I think it was a couple of little mixing things and a slight order reshuffle, which is that's always one of the last things I think any album I've been involved with this band or different bands. You put all your blood, sweat and tears into the songs and the sort of wee minutiae of that, and then you think, oh right, what order are they going to go in? That's sometimes the last panic sort of thing. So having a little bit of distance to sort of think about that again was maybe not a bad thing.
That's really it's something I've often wanted to ask, and I don't think I have, is how difficult is that process of, you've got your songs, and then do you think of it still as an album of two sides? Do you think of it as however many songs in a row, like you would get on a CD or something like that? How do you approach it?
Good question. I suppose you're trying, well, at every stage of the process you try to do this, you're trying to put yourself outside of sort of you, the creators, and like, what would I think as a music fan? I've never heard this in my life. Boom, it's on. So yeah, I suppose you try to think of the flow of it, and what's at the start, what's at the end is always an important one. I suppose it's the same with like a great book always has a great opening line and a great closing. So,
a beginning, a middle.
Not that the middle needs to be rubbish, but
yeah. But I know that's exactly it. I think it's a really important thing. Some of the best albums, they do seem to think, well, that song couldn't be anywhere else. That's exactly what it's supposed to be.
I suppose that's a good point. That you're probably most music fans of this with their favorite albums. If they heard some of those songs in a different combination, it was sort of, no, that's not how it is.
Exactly.
And if you hear a song on the radio that you're used to hearing on an album, you're just expecting the next song to come on, even if it doesn't. So these things become quite important, I suppose.
And it's been a few years since the debut Strange Blue Dreams album. How, do you think the band have changed, or the music's changed since, when was that? 2016, 2017?
That one, our debut came out in 2017. Towards the end of it, though. So,
yes, yeah. You're not doing a Stone Roses and taking 5 years to do these.
Although to be fair, probably it's about the same distance between those two albums as the Stone Roses two albums. But we can blame COVID for that.
Yes,
blame COVID for loads of things. But yeah, that doesn't answer your question. How is it? I suppose with the first album, so a lot of those songs came together, but prior to playing with the band,
right,
as it is, the sort of very kind of rough versions of the songs. I'd been in other bands before, and then I was I just started coming up with a bunch of songs myself that I wasn't quite sure what they'd be for, and a good pal of mine, Biff from A New International, I don't know if you know their stuff.
Yes, very much so.
I thought you'd I'm fairly sure you covered them before at some point, I thought, but anyway, he suggested I come around a few nights and bash out some demos of the songs, and then just through sort of the way these things work out, I'd started playing with some of the guys in a band, the Shiver and Shakes. Initially, just they had been doing a residency at Blackfriars, doing kind of rock and roll R&B type stuff, and I like that kind of music. And this singer and guitar player in that band was leaving, so they think, do you fancy a Tuesday night gig? I was like, of course. So we started playing covers, and then I thought, well, I'm doing these songs. Would you guys fancy having a go at playing on them? And then another pal, Davey, that plays the mandolin, I ran an open mic night with him, so we played together in a more kind of, I suppose, folky country kind of setting. So yeah, I've got him in tow as well. But so it was, I suppose, with the first album was maybe a bit more. Certainly the guys all brought great ideas to the mix, but it was a bit more like fleshing out a bunch of songs that were a bit further down the line. They were sort of demoed, and the general structure of them and things was more there. With these songs, it's they were involved at an earlier stage of it, so more involved in the writing and I suppose it was more of a band process maybe with this album. So yeah, I suppose that's maybe something that's changed, and just the more you play together and come up with ideas, it becomes a kind of what's the word I'm looking for? You become more of an organism. You're not just bringing the songs and saying, what do you think of these? You're actually working on them together almost from the start. An ecosystem. That's a good way of putting it. I was just thinking, I loved those Tuesday nights in Blackfriars. And I think when I put together the amount of times I've seen the Shivering Shakes and Strange Blue Dreams, I might have seen you guys play more than any other band I've seen. Because that was just around the corner from where I lived at the time. They were great nights. It was smashing that, and then that sort of, that's really, I suppose, what the Shivering Shakes started off in order to do, and then we got a few other pub gigs, and then before we knew it, that was kind of our job for a while, and which was great, and so I suppose it meant as well, maybe when doing the Strange Blue Dreams, doing our original stuff, as a live band, we had that just that much more experience of playing live together than a lot of bands get, just by playing most nights in some fashion or other. So
absolutely,
I suppose it's maybe more rare these days for bands to get that chance to do that. So yeah, absolutely.
I think to play as often as you do, and I think it shows in your live shows, you know, kind of tight the band is. So the launch is going to be at St. Luke's on the 30th, you said. Tickets still available?
There might be one or two, yes, but get on that fast. Yes.
And I've always wanted to ask you about influences, because particularly I think on the newer stuff, there's quite a variety of influences. Could you talk us through some of them?
Okay, that's always a tricky one. I suppose my influences, my favourites also are the sort of maybe more, well, the classic rock and roll and country and pop, I suppose just pure pop songwriters and singers. I suppose I've always been a fan of the kind of iconoclasts, be the right word, like Buddy Holly, Hank Williams, Jonathan Richman, Elvis Costello, people that are sort of maybe part of a kind of tradition, or take on board, you know, the music around them, or the music of the past, but have done their own thing with it, or you know, maybe gone against the grain of their times in some fashion. I think just because that's how they were, rather than necessarily out of sheer difficultness, but it's maybe made life more difficult for them at the time, but yeah, create something unique. So I suppose that's, if I like a lot of normal stuff as well, but
I like the use of normal.
But that music then becomes normal, though, isn't it? That becomes just it becomes part of the fabric of culture. But at the time, you know, that maybe didn't make much sense to people.
I've often thought the Strange Blue Dreams was a perfect name for what you do, because there is something slightly strange. I mean, I'm not going to use the word psychedelic, but something a little bit, you know, I mean, we're talking a little bit about sci-fi before we started recording. There's some of that in there, I think, anyway.
Oh, definitely, yeah. I mean, I like a lot of psychedelic music as well. And I suppose there's a bit of I mean, there's lots of common ground with a lot of the music we all like. At the same time, you know, we're bringing different things to it as well, and there's a lot of old jazz in there, and some country, and some psych as well. I suppose I like the more pop end of psych, like the West Coast Pop Art Experimental Band. Right. That's a pretty out there name, but actually a lot of the songs are basically just great pop songs. Yeah. Approached from in a slightly mad way. So I'm a big fan of lyrics as well. Sometimes, like you said, we were talking about sci-fi there. I like a good concept. Yeah. Sometimes I'll try and, sometimes influences can start from almost a non-musical point. Like I'll be reading something and a phrase will jump out at me, and I think, oh yeah, there's something in that, and I'll have either write it down in a text message to myself, or put it on a bit of paper and put it in my pocket. And then sometimes months later, I'll pull out these things. Oh yeah, there was that idea. What was that again? And in terms of the challenges, or a musical idea will present itself either with the band or out of somewhere, and somehow the phrase or the concept and the musical idea will come together. Yeah. And sometimes the challenge will be, right, how do I make this a listenable song? Or can I create this slightly out there concept? Can I connect this slightly out there concept to a kind of something kind of relatable or emotional or something like that, if that makes any sense.
No, it
just
does.
A metaphor for a smaller, is this big idea, like cosmic idea, a metaphor for some kind of more simple human idea? I suppose the title track, maybe Simple Machine, is a little bit that.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a bit more of that going on in the album too.
Yeah, and we'll hear that track in a moment so people can find it for themselves. But that term cosmic, I think, is an interesting one because there is a little bit of that going on. I have often thought that you would be the perfect house band in a David Lynch movie. I could see you doing that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? In terms of style, also in terms. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. That's probably about as on the money and as big a compliment as you can pay us, I suppose. He always has great soundtracks anyway in his films. So, and I suppose he's introduced a lot of audiences who maybe otherwise wouldn't have heard it to a lot of great sort of Americana type music. In fact, Americana is an interesting thing, isn't it? Because it's a bit of a catch-all term for quite a few different sort of musical forms, but that all kind of connect.
Yeah.
But it's quite it's maybe quite a modern way of looking at the music of the past. Well, I mean, American music was maybe very either like country or you like blues or you like, and Americana kind of.
Yeah, I think right. It's become a kind of catch-all terminology. You know, often, I don't know if it still happens because I've not bought it for ages, but a CD on the cover of Uncut would often be Americana, but yet you have, you know, really Laura Cantrell to the Handsome Family. You know, that you've got this really dark side, but then you've also got kind of a much more traditional, almost country sound as well.
Aye, and I suppose David Lynch soundtracks combined with the kind of type of imagery he uses, you know, kind of Nowheresville, Middle America, kind of, and this kind of spooky undercurrent of that.
Yeah.
I suppose, if anything, maybe we're trying to turn that kind of eye onto Scotland, don't we know?
Yeah, but what's behind the twitching curtain?
Strange underbellies of the seemingly normal world.
So once the album is out and the launch, can you look further than that? Is there something next for you, or are you, you know, is that enough to kind of take up your time at the moment?
No, well, I suppose we're always playing about with new ideas of things. We're going to be playing a couple of songs at the launch that because we wrote quite a few things kind of remotely during COVID. Partly just for something to do, I suppose. We put one of them out during the COVID times, but there's a few we haven't really done anything with. So we're playing them at the launch, and we might do something, you know, expand on that kind of. That was partly almost I don't know, an exercise for me or something, like trying to write songs inspired by that kind of particular period of time, which felt pretty cosmic and sci-fi in a slightly unpleasant way. So that was my way of dealing with that, without necessarily just being about COVID. So there was a bunch of songs in that kind of concept, and I had started alongside finishing the album that we're about to put out. I had started in Dribs and Drabs, but it was a sort of noir inspired album as well. So we're going a bit prog psyche with the concept albums. I don't know if that will become you know, there's quite a lot of songs there that we were kind of near finished, and then you know, things stopped on that. So there's a few kind of finished things there and a few unfinished things. So we might finish that as a concept thing, or we might just go, that's a good song, that's a good song, and write some other songs, and it'll just be some noir inspired songs. I don't know yet. I don't know, but yeah, there's interesting things to work on. Sometimes I like to have this is a concept and it's going to be a thing, and that's maybe just, it can be handy as a kind of almost like a brief that nobody set me. or set the band, that, you know, try to come up with the initial ideas of songs. Sometimes they come to you, and sometimes they don't, and you have to kind of come up with I imagine like I don't know, something like a film director has said, right, we need 12 songs about this for this new album. So right, I better get on it. Obviously, the film director doesn't exist, but if I get a couple of good tunes out of it, then
it's a good way of
doing
this. Yeah.
Anyway, there's a few things creatively potentially in the pipeline, but I suppose a lot of the last few months of time and energy has been getting this album out. So we'll look forward to that and see how that goes, and then get back. It'll be good to get back recording and get some new stuff together.
Well, soon. All the best with the album, and all the best with the launch at St. Luke's on the 30th. And thank you for taking the time to chat to me, David.
Well, thank you for having me.
And this is the title track to the new album, Simple Machine.